Good morning. It's Tuesday, 5:37 a.m. and we are looking at storms tracking into southern Ontario today. I'll show you the radar that's coming up, and we can actually see the cold front starting to form west of the Great Lakes, and that's going to be moving in throughout the day. Quickly feeling like fall. Temperatures are really going to take a plunge, and we're going to struggle to stay into the 20s. Yeah, grab a sweater. You're going to need it. And then a fairly dry pattern ahead. We really don't have any other big systems that we're watching track into southern Ontario. So here is a look at the radar, and here's a look at what we're seeing this morning. So a few spotty showers right now throughout the GTA, more concentrated up towards cottage country. But look at what's forming here. As we take you a little further off to the west, this is that cold front that's forming, and it's going to slide through, and this is what's really going to drive up our risk for a thunderstorm. So this really adds that lifting mechanism that we need, the trigger to set off these thunderstorms, because there certainly is enough energy to work with. We're not talking huge amounts of energy, but there is enough there to spark off some of these storms. Likely today, we're not going to get too much daytime heating. We're not going to get too much sunshine, so we're not adding more energy into the atmosphere. But what we have to work with, yeah, this is going to create some wet weather and some storms for us. So there it goes, the cold front throughout the morning, late morning, early afternoon, and looks like by 8 p.m. we should be in the clear from these storms, and then the falling temperatures. That's our next story. Right now, though, I want to turn things over to the science behind the weather and how thunderstorms work. Awesome stuff. So innocent. And you know, if you missed the solar eclipse, if you were inside and you didn't see it or you didn't have the glasses, well, the next solar eclipse, that is set to happen April 8th, 2024. And look at this path. I was looking at it a little bit closer within the GTA. Mississauga essentially would just be on the cusp of totality. Hamilton and down into the Niagara region, you will be in totality. So 2024. All right, as we take a look at our weather story today, still hot and muggy out there and storms. Lots of energy. Thunderstorms are coming in. We're seeing them just track into the GTA this morning up towards cottage country. They've been a little bit more steady through here, and we're talking heavy rain with this. There really is a lot of moisture in our atmosphere, so these storms, they are really able to pour. Now, I just want to show you what's happening just to the west of us, and this really is the cold front that's forming, and the cold front that's going to be coming throughout basically late morning into the early afternoon. That's when we're going to start to see the most continuous action. Right now, it's really just some spotty stuff, stop and go in through the late morning and afternoon. That front's going to drive through, line of storms likely, heavy downpours, thunder, lightning, the whole bit. Winds are going to be gusty as well. But we're not seeing the potential for the most severe storms. Not for us here in the GTA. That really is off to the east of us, where they could see a little bit of clearing, a little more energy through here, and we're not even ruling out the risk of some rotation, especially throughout southern Quebec today. So as we look here at the moisture in the atmosphere, there is a ton of it. This cold front comes in, acts as the trigger, pushes up the risk for those thunderstorms, ignites those thunderstorms, and in behind it, well, that air mass is much cooler and it is much fresher. If you're thinking about heading to the CNE today really isn't the greatest day. We have lots of dry weather to come, so perhaps hold off for, let's say, Thursday or Friday when conditions are a little more comfortable and nicer to be on the outside. We're 22 degrees. That's it for the daytime high on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're going to struggle to stay in the 20s. 16 as we start off tomorrow, 22 into the afternoon. Just want to show you we'll show you some of those images just ahead throughout the show. All right, as we take you and show you what's going on today. Thunderstorms back in action for us. Thankfully, yesterday this system wasn't coming through because we wouldn't have had a great view of it at all. We had those perfect skies. All right, quickly going to feel like fall. Temperatures on the decline, and then a fairly dry pattern ahead. We're really not looking at any big systems coming into play, but the heat, that is what we are going to be lacking. That's for sure. As we look at our radar this morning, we really have seen just a few pop-up isolated showers within the GTA, but we are awaiting the cold front. Look at it here. Still forming and moving in closer to the Great Lakes. So all of this is going to be tracking across southern Ontario, and this is going to be the story as we go throughout the morning. We're just seeing this move into Windsor right now, so we're thinking late morning and into the afternoon for us. It is still hot and muggy out there. It feels sticky. 23 degrees already in Toronto. We're just a couple minutes after 6 a.m. So with the mugginess in the atmosphere and the storm risk today, if you are planning on going to the CNE, the best time today would really be throughout the evening hours, as through the afternoon we're looking at that risk of a thunderstorm, and being on the outside during this, never really the best idea. Now this cold front, that what we were seeing forming on the radar there, that is what's going to set off these thunderstorms. It adds that extra lift. So that's what we're really seeing generate right now and tracking into the GTA. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere, so very heavy downpours. They are going to be a big threat today. Generally, the GTA should see about 10 millimeters of rain. However, locally, if one area gets that really, really heavy downpour, easily the totals can go up to 40 millimeters of rain. And we're especially going to look at that over towards Ottawa and through Montreal. And this region here, especially in through southern Quebec, we're not ruling out the risk today of an isolated tornado. The ingredients, the parameters, they're coming in together where we could be seeing some of these storms starting to rotate. So as we look at tomorrow morning, we're done with these storms by the evening. Tomorrow morning, we're 16 degrees, into the afternoon, 22. Barrie, just 19. Temperatures certainly taking a hit. In behind the system, it's that northwesterly wind that comes in. So today you can get away with the flip-flops and your shorts still. Tomorrow, thinking long pants and probably a sweater, especially for the morning. Look at Thursday here. Only 18 in Newmarket, 19 in Markham. Couple showers as a few troughs move through Wednesday and Thursday, and then we're nice and clear, but certainly cool in our 7-day forecast. All right, let me check out the roads this morning for you. Good morning. It's Tuesday, August 22nd. Your weather wake-up starts right here. I'm sure you're done scrolling through your Instagram feed and your Facebook feed of all the solar eclipse pictures taken yesterday. We're going to be recapping some of that throughout the show this morning, but I do want to get you to the storm risk today, and we're just about to touch upon tornado facts as well. Chris St. Clair, we're going to throw things over to him. But I want you to look at this. This here is the radar this morning, and there's really a lot of action going on. It's a big system. Center of the low up towards Sault Ste. Marie. This is the warm front still working its way through, and that cold front really igniting itself, and it is going to be tracking across southern Ontario as we go throughout this morning and into the afternoon. 24 degrees right now in Toronto. It is fairly dry start to the day today. The roads have been in really good condition. Just one issue out there, 401 eastbound through Mavis, but other than that, the drive has been pretty okay in terms of, well, not getting stuck in heavy downpours. But as we go through the later morning and closer to lunchtime, there's not a huge amount of energy to work with, but there's enough, and that's what could spark off the thunderstorms. Now, the severe storms, the potential for a tornado, not for us here in the GTA, but off to southern Quebec. And here's a recap about tornadoes in Canada. And today, as we look at that tornado risk highlighted in the red here, not so much for Ottawa, but off towards southern Quebec. That's where we're putting the potential for today. All right, when we come back, Tropical Storm Hato. It's great to have you joining us this morning. It's Tuesday today, August 22nd, or the day after the solar eclipse. Is your social media just filled with everybody talking of the solar eclipse?
It's so amazing, though. Some of the photos and videos I've seen, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
And how creative people got as well, because of course you couldn't look at it with your eyes. And if you tried, I'm sure you saw yesterday, you didn't see anything. You just hurt your eyes, right? People got really creative in terms of seeing this solar eclipse. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. All right, as we look outside, a nice start to the day in the Maritimes. It's going to be gorgeous, but a little bit different as we head into portions of Ontario as well as Quebec.
You got it. Thunderstorms are rolling in, and we're really looking at that radar. We're seeing that cold front essentially just firing up. So we're looking at this system. Center of the low is up towards Sault Ste. Marie. As this tracks across southern Ontario, it brings us some storms today, and we're already starting to see them. And the humidity, it's slowly dropping.
Yeah, it's still going to be really hot. Ottawa, risk for some severe weather. So areas like the Ottawa Valley and then east towards southern Quebec, that's really where we could see some really severe weather popping up, and isolated tornadoes a threat here as well.
You got it. And we also are looking at so much moisture in the atmosphere. We feel it with that humidity today. So think about it. These thunderstorms can really have the ability to produce extremely heavy downpours. So that's something we're going to watch today.
Exactly. We want to show you some scenes.
You know, you may be a weather geek, a science nerd, whatever, but even if you just got the cool glasses yesterday and took a look at the sky, I'm sure you were impressed.
Exactly. And head to our website as well. We have so many photos and videos, and throughout the hour we're gonna share some as well. Some of these amazing videos. It's mind blowing. I'm so excited about it. All right, Rachel, let's dive into our long range forecast.
This map just says grab a sweater. Grab your sweater. You're going to need it.
Fall. No, not yet. But temperatures are going to cool down. We're going to feel it. In Chapleau, for instance, around the Timmins area on Wednesday, about 12 degrees. Dundalk Highlands, you're going to be about 16 on Thursday. Yeah, that totally screams grab a sweater.
Oh, yeah. The fresher air mass comes in. And I have to say, this next pattern that we're getting into, we're really lacking the heat, but we are seeing a lot of dry weather. Really, a lot of sunny days ahead for us across the east.
Exactly. And then across the west, best is just watch this jet stream because it's all over the place. Really a roller coaster in terms of the temperatures. And as I mentioned previously, Calgary is warming up today. Your peak temperature tomorrow about low 30s. Then by Friday, we're talking the low 20s. So it's all over the place in terms of those temperatures.
And that really is a sign of the seasons battling it out. Now, when we come back, we're talking about the sun and your eyes. There was a lot of talk about that yesterday. Health and weather is next. It's great to have you here with us this morning, 6:37 a.m. on this Tuesday, and storms are brewing and they are tracking into southern Ontario. We are looking at sort of a gray day today, a muggy day. It still feels hot and humid out there, but not a lot of sunshine. It's going to be stormy and cloudy. Quickly going to feel like fall in behind the system as well. Temperatures really taking the plunge. So find a sweater, find some closed-toe shoes. Flip-flops are going to feel chilly this week, and then a fairly dry pattern ahead. We're lacking the heat, but we do see a decent amount of sunshine. I want to get you to the radar because I want to show you what's going on this morning. We have been seeing some very spotty stuff across the GTA, more concentrated, more steady, let's say up towards cottage country. But as we swing back towards the west, this is the cold front that's forming, still generating, and this is moving into southern Ontario. So later on this morning and through the afternoon, we are expecting thunderstorms. We're not looking at huge amounts of energy. We're not going to see the sunshine adding more energy to our atmosphere today, but there's enough. And as this cold front comes in, that's the trigger to spark off some of these storms. So think of today, gray, rainy, stormy, muggy, and then temperatures falling for tomorrow. Now, before we move forward, I want you to check this out, the science behind a thunderstorm. And when we talk thunderstorms for us, they are going to be wrapping up today around 7, 8 p.m. That downdraft, that real heavy downpour, we certainly could see it today because there is a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. A couple troughs move through Wednesday and Thursday, and then a dry pattern as we go right through to the weekend. Just want to show you this morning. Great to have you here with us this morning, 6:46 a.m., August the 22nd. And before we get into our weather story, I want to talk about yesterday, that solar eclipse. Good response. And if you missed the solar eclipse yesterday, well, the next one is happening in 2024, April 8th, so really not that far away, 7 years away. And look at the path of totality. Right over top of us where we live. I was taking a closer look at this within the GTA. Essentially, Mississauga will be on that cusp of totality, and Hamilton and the Niagara region, your area, you will be in it. So, hey, this is an event to look forward to. Look at all the hype over this one. Imagine in 2024. Sure, it will be cool. All right, 24 degrees right now in Toronto. We are feeling the southwesterly wind. The humidity is still with us. Not a lot of sunshine today, I'll tell you that. It's going to be a gray day as these storms continue to roll in. And as we just swing back here, I want to show you this cold front. This is still to come. So this is just tracking into Windsor this morning. So this is what we are going to be looking at as we go throughout the morning and into the afternoon today. Heavy downpours, big threat with this. Lots of moisture in the atmosphere. The winds have been strong as well. Out of the southwest, gusts close to 40, and we will be looking at a westerly, then a northwesterly wind after the front passes, and that means some cooler air is on the way. Today's thunderstorm risk, we are included here within the GTA. We are going to see some thunderstorms. However, the most severe is off to the east of us. Throughout southern Quebec, we could be seeing some isolated tornadoes today with this system, the right parameters just setting up. So it is this cold front, that is the trigger. It is quite big, moving in across the GTA. Eventually will extend all the way into Atlantic Canada. So if you are thinking of going to the CNE today is really not your best day to go. It's stormy, it's wet, it's not going to be too comfortable to be outdoors, and we have a lot of dry weather in the 7-day forecast. Wait till Friday, perhaps. Friday's looking like a very comfortable, nice day. I'm giving Friday the best day to be at the CNE this week. Wednesday morning, 16 degrees, couple troughs coming through Wednesday and Thursday. This could lead to a few lingering showers. Just want to show you the QEW. To see anything if you looked at the sun, all you did is hurt your eyes. So there was cereal boxes out, the projection viewers, people had these amazing filters on their cameras to take these pictures. It really was awesome and something we certainly will remember. If you missed this solar eclipse, well, we're talking about when the next one will happen, and we'll actually see totality here in the GTA. So that is coming up. System is going to bring some storms today. Quickly, we're going to feel like fall, and then also we have a dry pattern ahead. Dry pattern is good, but we really are lacking the heat. And I'll tell you, it is not really feeling like summer in our 7-day forecast. Today we see a cloudy day. The storms are coming in. We're starting to see that cold front push in towards Windsor, closer to Lake St. Clair. We've seen a lot of action up in Cottage Country this morning with the thunderstorms. Now we're really just awaiting that cold front. So temperature-wise this morning, we're warm, we're sticky. This is that cold front that is just pushing in. Look at all the moisture associated with it. We really have a lot of action to go. So this is going to be our story late morning and then in through the afternoon. As we look at our temperatures right now, it is 7:07 a.m., 24 degrees already in Toronto. We're warming up to about 26 degrees today. So today is warm compared to what is coming in our 7-day forecast. But I want you to know today, not the greatest day to be on the outside. If you have plans to go to the CNE, let's say, the thunderstorm risk is going to be there. Heavy downpours are a great threat with this. Even the winds are fairly gusty today. Southwesterly wind up to about 40 kilometers an hour. So today, not the best day to be outside. If I had to pick the best day to go to the CNE this week, I'd give it to Friday. Friday looks very nice, comfortable to be outside, and lots of sunshine coming into the picture. As we look at the cold front here, it's slicing through a decent amount of energy, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and that's why we see the heavy downpours as our greatest threat today. Generally within the GTA, 10 millimeters of rain is expected. That's the general number we're giving. But of course, if your neighborhood sees that really powerful thunderstorm with really heavy downpours, easily you could pick up 20, 30, maybe even 40 millimeters of rain with some of these storms. As we look at the risk here, we are not in the greatest risk for severe weather. That is off to the east of us, especially throughout southern Quebec, not ruling out the risk of a potential tornado throughout this region. But for us, what I want you to know are the heavy downpours and the potential for some very powerful winds as well. As we move through today, we're clearing out tonight, storms stop tonight, and then tomorrow we're a bit fresher. 16 as we start off the day, 22 as we go into the afternoon. Barrie, where's the 20s for you? Struggling to get into the 20s in Barrie and in Cottage Country. We're looking at a couple showers for Wednesday and Thursday, just a weak trough passing by, the system not fully cleared right out of here, and then the skies are much nicer as we go into Friday. But look at Thursday, 19 in Markham and Newmarket. That's jumping into the next season. Yeah, I'm convincing you. Fall is on the way, right? Just want to show you the roads this morning. Hey, it's great to have you with us this morning. You are watching the Weather Wake Up on the Weather Network, brought to you by McCafe. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. Right now, 7:17 a.m. and a wet and a stormy start to the day today. We've been watching some of these thunderstorms roll across Cottage Country. Reports now from Hydro One that about 3,000 people in Bracebridge are without power, so perhaps because of some of these thunderstorms. Now, we have not seen the bulk of it or really the most powerful storms yet. I want to show you where they are. We swing back and show you. See this cold front here that's extending down towards the south of Lake Michigan? That is what's moving into southern Ontario. So just crossing the border, just pushing towards Windsor and Lake St. Clair, soon to be in London, and really late afternoon and towards the, or late morning and towards the afternoon. That's when it will be here with us in the GTA. 23 degrees in Toronto this morning. The roads have been dry this morning. The rush hour commute actually has been pretty okay. We've been looking at a few issues southbound 410. Those have now cleared. QEW through Mississauga eastbound problems have now cleared as well too. So at least you're driving with the dry roads this morning. Through the afternoon though, that's going to change. The energy we're dealing with, there's not huge amounts of it, but there's enough of it, especially off throughout southern Quebec. This is where we do have the risk of a tornado. And with more on tornadoes in Canada, I'll turn things over to Chris St. Clair. And as we look at our risk map today, highlighted in red here, really excluding Ottawa, though, we do have the potential for a thunderstorm. We're going to take a look at the national picture with Shannon when we come back. Hey, it's great to see you this morning. Tuesday, storms are tracking across southern Ontario. Rachel Schoutsen and Shannon Bradbury here with you. Don't worry, the solar eclipse, more on that is coming up. But Shannon, I just want to mention 3,000 people this morning in the Bracebridge area without power. Hydro One just reporting because of these storms.
Wow, and they're likely going to continue to ramp up for several areas. So we will break down those details throughout the hour as well as we look across the country. A bit of a warm up for Alberta today, but it's not going to last too long. By Friday, those temperatures are back down again. Really a roller coaster And in terms of the temperatures further east, Rachel, they're kind of all over the place as well. They cool down toward the end of the week as well.
And you know what that is a sign of, Shannon?
Fall.
The sign of the season's changing when those air masses really start to battle it out. Feels like 36 today in Ottawa, so we still have the humidity, we still have the heat with us, and we do have the potential for a lot of action. So we do see the risk of those thunderstorms today. It is right on the doorstep. It is coming into Canada.
Right, exactly. Into Newfoundland also we've got that risk due to an upper low, isolated severe central portions of Newfoundland. Heavy rain and strong winds, those main concerns. I want to show you some of the scenes though.
Calgary yesterday.
Not taking his eyes off of it either. Amazing. All right, as you look into the long range, this is what I meant by a bit of a cool down. So as we approach Wednesday for some areas in northern Ontario, even towards southern Ontario for Thursday, temperatures are going to be a little bit below seasonal.
Yeah, when I look at this graphic, I just think, okay, where's my sweater?
Yeah.
I'm putting away the flip-flops. It's not coming just yet, but it is going to be a lot fresher. We're talking the struggle to stay in the 20s for a lot of Ontario. Now, as we look at across the west, the jet stream is really just going bonkers. It's all over the place.
It is. Look how, just look at it. So throughout the day today, a brief warm up for portions of Alberta into Saskatchewan. But then as we approach your Friday, those temperatures are 10 degrees cooler. So it's going to be a little bit of a cool down. All right, coming up when we come back is Force of Nature, and we'll take you to some active weather. We've got lots to talk about, as well as some more scenes from the eclipse. Stay with us.
Thunderstorms really starting to roll in across southern Ontario this morning, especially through cottage country. We're seeing a lot of action up here. 3,000 people around Bracebridge without power this morning could be due to some of those thunderstorms, and we're just about to see that cold front track into southern Ontario this morning. It's really just making its way into Windsor across Lake St. Clair. So with that cold front, that's really what's going to be the driver of our active weather today. So far, it's been a decent start to the morning, a bit gray out there, but you haven't been driving to work in these really heavy downpours. But that is coming. We are going to see that as we go throughout the late morning and into the afternoon, because this cold front is waving its way into southern Ontario. It is really just on our doorstep. So that's going to be our weather maker today. We don't have a ton of energy in the atmosphere, but we have this big trigger, and you can see the storms are starting to fire up. So this here is a look at the energy. The Cape, again, like I said, we don't have a ton, but there is enough. There's going to be more over towards Montreal and within southern Quebec, and that's where we could actually see the risk of an isolated tornado today. So this is it here, the big system, center of the low up towards Sault Ste. Marie. Warm front coming through this morning, cold front a little bit later on, and that is setting off the storms for us. Throughout Wednesday and Thursday, couple troughs still affecting our forecast, bringing us a few showers. So we're not perfect, but Friday, well, our forecast is looking pretty clear, and we have sunny skies as we go right through the weekend. This evening, those storms are departing. We're 20 degrees, and then temperatures dropping into tomorrow. I want to turn things over to Jacqueline Whittle right now. The science behind the weather, the downdraft, the torrential downpour when we talk thunderstorms. Have a look. It's 7:46 a.m. on this Tuesday morning, and let's talk about that solar eclipse. It was pretty cool yesterday. And if you missed the solar eclipse, well, you don't have to wait too long. 7 years. Compared to what happens in space, 7 years really isn't that long. And as we look at the next path, the path of totality, remember, here in the GTA, we only saw about 72% coverage. But over the next one, which is happening April 8, 2024, we will be in that path of totality. And I was taking a closer look here in the GTA. Mississauga essentially is right on that cusp of totality. But if you're down into places like Hamilton and the Niagara region, you will see that full 100% solar eclipse. Pretty cool. All right, 2024, mark your calendars. As we look at our weather this morning, it's a humid start already to the day, 23 degrees, feels closer to 30. Ottawa's going to feel like 36 degrees today. So there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And today's the day where we're going to spark off all that energy, and we're really getting into some of those thunderstorms. So you can see here, we've had a patch of storms track across cottage country. We've stayed fairly dry within southern Ontario, but this cold front is coming for us. Look at it here. It's now moving into Windsor. We're looking at a lot of action throughout the day today. There's not a ton of energy for us, but we have that lifting mechanism. We have that cold front. So this is what's going to spark off the thunderstorms for us within the GTA. By the time we see 7-8 p.m., we will be done with these storms, and in behind it, a much cooler air mass is coming into play. Your Long Ranger is next, and we're going to talk about that coming up. I do want to show you the roads this morning, Eclipse, and if you were at the CNE, they were giving out glasses, the Science Center as well. There was really some great events across southern Ontario to join in on the fun and have a look at that solar eclipse. And we're going to talk lots about the solar eclipse. That's all coming up throughout the show this morning. But first up, I want to get to this because storms are expected today. We're not seeing huge amounts of energy across southern Ontario, but there's enough. And this here is a look at the future radar. And you can see as we go throughout the morning this morning, these storms are really starting to become a little bit more numerous. And I think one of the greatest threats with these storms today will be the heavy downpours. You felt the humidity yesterday. We still have a lot of that moisture in our atmosphere. We're not going to be as warm today as what we saw yesterday. Yesterday, Toronto did get up to 30 degrees, our first 30-degree day in August so far this year. So today, the energy is there, the moisture is there. Heavy downpours are going to be a big threat with this. The winds are going to be sustained about 20-30 kilometers an hour, gusts 40-45, eventually becoming a northwest wind tomorrow, and that's going to bring temperatures down. So for today, 26 the daytime high, really not the best day to go to the CNE today because we are looking at that risk for storms. This evening becoming a little bit more stable, nicer to be outdoors. And I do want to mention the risk for some real severe weather across southern Quebec today. We're not even ruling out the potential of an isolated tornado through here. All right, so what happens after this stormy system? Temperatures are falling, and we'll explain in your Long Ranger right now. It really feels like we are quickly jumping into a new season, let me tell you that. This is the low, continues to depart, moves into Atlantic Canada. In behind it, we get that northwesterly wind, and it is going to be another fresh end to the week and into the weekend. We're going to hold on the potential for a couple showers in through Wednesday and Thursday. Just a few weak troughs coming through, mainly dry though, as high pressure slowly moves itself into place, especially as we end off the week for Friday. But Thursday here, 20 degrees in Toronto. Look at Barrie. Only 18. Cottage Country, a beautiful week to be in Cottage Country, right? End of August. We're only 17 degrees in Huntsville. So this is a much fresher air mass that comes in and really starts to make us realize that fall is just around the corner. High pressure in place though, and we are looking at a nice stretch of dry weather. Look at Barrie, for example. These temperatures are not impressive at all as we look at August. However, there really is a lot of nice sunshine in this picture. I want to show you just again another time where Yellowknife 21 is actually going to be warmer than Toronto this summer. North Carolina, and then the sun is out again. It really was such an amazing scene yesterday, and so many people interested in this awesome event. Next one to happen? Well, we're going to talk about that coming up throughout the show this morning. The GTA should be in complete totality for the next solar eclipse. All right, we've got the storms today. Also, quickly feeling like fall. Temperatures, they are going to drop. Sharp drop in temperatures, and also a fairly dry pattern ahead. So that's the good news. We're just really lacking some of this heat. So if you like that muggy atmosphere, well, it's out there today. Not a whole lot of sunshine today, though, that's for sure. This big system is coming in. Center of the low, it's way up towards Sault Ste. Marie. Warm front has been moving through. We've seen lots of trees down, tons of lightning throughout Cottage Country, especially in Bracebridge. About 3,000 people without power this morning, and we still have a lot of action left to go. This is the cold front. The cold front still stateside, really just pushing in across the border throughout Windsor and London, over the shores of Huron, and we're going to be getting into that action here in the GTA late morning and through the afternoon. So if you're off today and you're thinking, okay, I want to go down to the CNE, check it out this year, today is really not the best day to go, to be honest. If you're going to be on the outside a lot for today, you're going to be dodging those thunderstorms. At times they could be very heavy downpours. The winds are going to be fairly strong out of the southwest. So today, not the best day for outdoor activities, but there's a lot of weather to come this week where you will be on the outside. You'll want to be on the outside. So we'll break that down. Just want to show you here the cold front. Tons of moisture in the atmosphere. As this really strong cold front pushes further to the east, it adds that extra lift, sparks off some of these thunderstorms, and within these storms, we can get some incredibly heavy downpours. So that's a great threat today. Generally, we're talking 10 millimeters of rain for the GTA. However, if your neighborhood gets that really powerful thunderstorm, easily your area could see 30 and 40 millimeters of rain today. Now, we're not in line for the most severe storms. That is going to be off to the east of us, and especially throughout southern Quebec. This is where we're not ruling out the risk of an isolated tornado today. All the right ingredients coming into play to see that one. All right, Wednesday morning, 16 degrees in Toronto. Few troughs associated with this low still swinging across southern Ontario Wednesday and into Thursday. So this is where we could see a few very light showers. But look at the temperatures here. This is quite the story. Today in Ottawa, with the humidity, it feels like 36. Tomorrow, just a fresh 22 for that daytime high. Cottage country, not overly great this week. The sunshine will be there. A few passing showers, remember, but the sunshine is mainly there. It's just the struggle to get hot, to feel like August. 19 degrees in Markham tomorrow. All right, when we come back, more on... All right, let's take a look at the radar this morning because there is a lot of action. We see this big system coming in, center of the low. It's up towards Sault Ste. Marie. This is continuing to push across southern Ontario. And this here, a little bit more organized, right? Down towards Windsor, pushing down stateside. That is the cold front. And as that cold front comes in, we are expecting to see some big storms. For the rush hour this morning, we stayed mainly dry, but these scenes are going to be changing as all of this rain starts to push into the picture. We're really not talking a ton of energy within the GTA or within southern Ontario for that matter, but that cold front, it's coming in at just the right time. It's enough there to add that extra lift, get those thunderstorms going, and there is a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. You can feel it out there this morning. We felt it yesterday. It's still there with us. So that means heavy downpours. That's going to be a big threat for us. So we see the system track in. There's the cold front, comes through late morning into the afternoon, brings us a line of thunderstorms, and then we should be clearing out by about 7-8 p.m. tonight. We should be done with this system. Now here in the GTA, we're not seeing the worst of this. No, our eyes are off to the east here. Not so much including Ottawa, more towards southern Quebec. This is where we see the risk of an isolated tornado today. And with more about tornadoes in Canada, I turn it over to Chris St. Clair. And now you know a little more about tornadoes in Canada. Just want to show you where our temperatures are going before we leave here. It's Tuesday morning, August 22nd, and yesterday the big story, of course, was the solar eclipse. I think productivity right across North America went right down as the solar eclipse happened, really depending on where you were. Much earlier for places like Vancouver, they had the best view of the solar eclipse yesterday, and we're going to be talking about this. That's all coming up throughout the show. Today, though, the headline is the storms, because we see this big system tracking into southern Ontario, and that's bringing us thunderstorms this morning. Already thousands of people without power across cottage country, and that's to multiple trees down across the region. As we look here at the system, all the action, the real big stuff for the GTA is just about to come in because that is the cold front. Want to show you the cold front here, still extended way down stateside, but that is starting to push in across Windsor, Lake St. Clair, and eventually it's going to be with us here in the GTA. When we talk energy today, there's really not huge amounts of energy to work with, but we certainly have that trigger. As that cold front comes through, adds that lifting mechanism, bam, we get those storms. So that's what we're going to get into the afternoon, really late morning, early afternoon. That's the picture for us. So here it is. The cold front comes across, brings us those thunderstorms, murky sky today, overcast, not the best day. And then by the time we're in the evening, we're cleared out. Now see this signature here? See a little bit of that rain popping up across Huron? That actually is some lake effect rain. And we get that when temperatures are cool enough over the surface of the water. Yeah, that's the sign of the next element to come, falling temperatures. Before we get there, though, I want to turn things over to Jacqueline Whittle and the science behind a thunderstorm. So innocent. And you know, if you didn't see the solar eclipse yesterday, well, there's good news. You only have to wait 7 years till the next one. And the next one, that path of totality, it's going to be right across southern Ontario. And I was taking a closer look within the GTA, and it looks like Mississauga will be right on that path. So we will literally see the moon completely cast that shadow in front of the sun. We will have some of the peak viewing. So mark it on your calendars, April 8th. 2024. Okay, we got to get to today's weather, though, and it's the thunderstorms that are moving in across southern Ontario. These have really been quite wild across cottage country. Multiple reports of lightning strikes and trees down, thousands of people without power. We are awaiting that cold front to come in, and this cold front still really extended down stateside. So this is going to be something that we're working through throughout the day today. So throughout this morning, late morning into the afternoon, thunderstorms, yeah, they're going to start firing up. We've really seen some spotty stuff, some spotty showers, but in terms of those bigger storms, the storms that could produce some really heavy downpours, that's going to be a late morning into the afternoon story for us. So we look here at the GTA. Our biggest risks, some heavy downpours. We could see some gusty winds. It's a southwest wind today. The gusts here are about 40 kilometers an hour. But the worst weather, the most severe weather with this, that's going to be off towards Ottawa and further east into southern Quebec. Ottawa this morning has already seen some really powerful thunderstorms. They've actually already been in severe thunderstorm warnings. As we look at southern Quebec, though, especially throughout the afternoon hours, this is where we're not ruling out the risk of even an isolated tornado. So it's all this cold front here. That's what's really stirring up the atmosphere, interacting with all of this moisture. So if you're thinking of going to the CNE today, I don't want to deter your plans, but really today is not the best day to go to the CNE. We're going to have lots of dry weather and lots of sunshine to come, especially Friday and through the weekend. So perhaps put it on standby. As we look at Wednesday morning, 16 and into the afternoon, we're going to struggle to stay into the 20s. When we come back, we're talking lightning. Captured with Michelle Mackey across southern Ontario to check out this solar eclipse. Certainly something very memorable. And the next solar eclipse, when will that happen? Well, we're going to be talking about that throughout the show this morning and sharing some of your amazing content that you sent into the Weather Network. So I'm glad you're here with us this morning. And I also want to fill you in on the storms because thunderstorms are happening. Lots of energy, lots of moisture. And this here is a look at the future radar. So this is a timestamp of about 11 a.m. So just before lunchtime, the storms continue. Very spotty stuff, but then they become a little bit more numerous. So just around lunch today, and we're going to be watching for some really heavy downpours as well. Center of this low is up towards Sault Ste. Marie, so we're perfectly going to get that cold front as it comes and passes us here in the GTA. So if you're heading to the CNE today, really not the greatest day to be on the outdoors. We're looking at those thunderstorms, thunder, lightning. Of course, you should never be outside in this. The downpours can be very heavy. We generally are talking about 10 millimeters of rain for the city of Toronto, but remember, if you get that really heavy downpour that unleashes in your area, well, your neighborhood could be seeing close to 30, maybe even 40 millimeters of rain. We really are not in, though, for the most severe storms. That is well off to the east of us, especially across southern Quebec, where we could be seeing the potential of an isolated tornado today. So we're going to be done with these storms at around 8 p.m. tonight. And what comes next? Well, it's the falling temperatures. Grab a sweater. Your Long Ranger starts now. It really will feel quickly like we are jumping into the next season. This area of low pressure, it departs, all the humidity gone with that, and the cooler air, it just filters right in. We're talking the struggle to stay in the 20s. High pressure will be in place, and that's going to be the perk because we really do have a lot of dry weather on the way. Wednesday and Thursday, as this low still spins and moves out of here, a couple troughs sent our way. We are going to see some sunshine, but we could get some brief darker periods and some brief showers, and then Friday, high pressure is in place. And really, the 7-day forecast has a lot of sunshine in it. It just is lacking the heat. Where is the heat as we end off August? We are nowhere close to 30 degrees for the daytime high. If that's what you were loving yesterday, it is gone now. Cottage country on Thursday, just 17. 17. We get up to 20 in Huntsville on Friday, 21 in Toronto. 7-day forecast for Barrie. Yeah, it's looking pretty chilly. Grab a sweater. You certainly will need it. When we come back, we certainly were nerding it out here at the Weather Network. This was a look at our studios yesterday, our control room, and this was the feed coming in. Mark Robinson's feed from Silver Point, Tennessee. So that's when it was becoming totality, the moon completely passing over the sun. And Mark Robinson, he's experienced a lot. And yesterday he said, holy cow, I am floored. Just as good as a volcano, a tornado, a hurricane. You guys sent in amazing pictures. Jeff Taylor, always a great photographer, sent this one in from Toronto. And then I found this one interesting. Some people didn't think the solar eclipse was that great. In Toronto, the solar eclipse looked like an overcast sky, essentially what we've been looking at all summer. Next solar eclipse, that is set to happen in 2024.